Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. It is now 9:30 a.m., so let's get started. Welcome to the public workshop for propylparaben and butylparaben in skin-applied leave-on products. My name is Ashley Lestra, and I am a public participation specialist with the Department of Toxic Substances Control, which we will refer to as DTSC throughout this workshop. This workshop is being recorded, and by joining, you agree to be recorded. The meeting is scheduled from 9:30 a.m. to 12 noon. However, if we are able to answer all the questions and collect all the public comments prior to 12 p.m., we may end early. If we reach the end of the workshop and are unable to answer all of the questions or unable to collect all public comments, please email your questions and/or comments to saferconsumerproducts@dtsc.ca.gov, which we have dropped into the chat box below. The purpose of today's workshop is to provide information on DTSC's preliminary research of skin-applied leave-on products containing propylparaben and butylparaben. Following the presentation, we will take questions, comments, and feedback from the audience. Please note the PowerPoint presentation and the recording of this workshop will be available for review at DTSC's Safer Consumer Products webpage at https://dtsc.ca.gov/safer-consumer-products-workshops-events, which we have dropped into the chat box. Slide 2, please. I will now go over the logistics. You are in a listen and participation role. Automatic closed captions have been turned on. If you would like to follow along with closed captions, please click on the CC button on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. Please note that we will not be taking questions through the chat feature. This feature is reserved for providing pertinent hyperlinks and information to the attendees. Today, we will be taking questions through the Q&A feature and raised hands. Please click on the Q&A button on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen to submit your question. You may submit as many questions and/or comments throughout the workshop, and we will respond to them during the Q&A session and the public comment period session following the presentation. During the Q&A portion, you may send as many questions as you want, but we do request that you send one question at a time so that we are able to respond to each question adequately. Additionally, we will be taking questions via raised hands. Please wait until the end of the presentation to raise your hand. We will do our best to respond to the questions in the order that they are received. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand to let us know that you have a question. You will be called on and prompted to unmute yourself by pressing *6. Following our Q&A session, we will have a brief 10-minute break and then have our public comment period session. Please note our panelists at this time will be only responding to questions during the Q&A portion of this workshop. The public comment period portion is reserved specifically for gathering any comments regarding DTSC's preliminary findings on leave-on products containing these parabens. Similar to the structure of Q&A portion, we will be taking public comments via the Q&A feature and raised hands. Lastly, please note that we are hosting this workshop virtually and request that you bear with us if there are any time lags, longer pauses, or any technical difficulties. We sincerely appreciate your patience, your understanding, and your cooperation in making this a successful workshop. Slide 3, please. Currently, the public comment period is open. Public comment period began on November 18th, 2024, and closes at 11:59 p.m. on January 2nd, 2025. There are 2 QR codes here available on the screen. The QR code to the left can be used to access the background document for skin-applied leave-on products containing propylparaben and butylparaben. The QR code to the right can be used to submit public comments via CalSafer. Again, we do request that you please submit your comments no later than 11:59 p.m. on January 2nd, 2025. Slide 4, please. This is the agenda for today's workshop. First, we will have Robert Christensen, Deputy Director for Safer Consumer Products Program, will be providing our opening remarks. Then, we have Julia Toro, Senior Environmental Scientist, will provide an overview on Safer Consumer Products Program. Next, we have Elena Galkina, Environmental Scientist, will present an overview of parabens in leave-on products. Following the presentation, we will have Q&A session to respond to your questions. This is your opportunity to ask questions for the panel to address today. After the Q&A session, we will have a brief 10-minute break, and then we will have the public comment period session. Please note, once again, the panel will not be responding to comments received. However, these comments will be compiled, reviewed, and considered when finalizing the preliminary document. Finally, we have Andrea Algazi, Environmental Program Manager, will conclude with closing remarks. Thank you to all the panelists for your time and dedication in being here today. And without further ado, please welcome Deputy Director Robin Christensen. Over to you, Robin.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here today. My name is Robin Christensen, and I am the Deputy Director of the Safer Consumer Products Program. You will also hear us refer to ourselves as SCP or the SCP program throughout today's presentation. I'm thrilled to see so many webinar participants here today, and I want to thank you all for joining us in this critical public engagement process. Now, back in November, we shared our background document, on parabens and skin-applied leave-on products, which included our preliminary research findings. But this project was first conceived of several years ago when we began researching harmful chemicals in hair products, specifically chemical hair straighteners. And while our research into chemical hair straighteners continues, we found it important to also focus on skin-applied leave-on products. These types of products can contribute to significant exposures to propyl and butylparaben among Californians and the environment. Nearly everyone uses some form of skin-applied leave-on products, and we use them often. Use often starts very early on in life and continues throughout our lives. Additionally, there are already numerous effective alternatives available for parabens in skin-applied leave-on products that have been successfully used by product manufacturers. Today, you'll be hearing from our team of scientists from DTSC's Safer Consumer Products Program, and we'll be starting with an overview of the SCP framework to illustrate how our program works. This will be followed by a presentation highlighting our preliminary research findings on propyl and butylparaben and skin-applied leave-on products, and what we've learned about their potential to cause or contribute to adverse impacts in humans and the environment. We will also discuss the next steps in the process and how you can get involved as we refine our research to potentially propose skin-applied leave-on products containing propylparaben and/or butylparaben as priority products under the SCP regulations. After hearing from SCP staff, we'll have time for questions and public comments. And I want to thank everyone again for joining us at today's workshop. Your input and engagement are critical to our process. And with that, I will pass it over to Julia Toro, who's going to lead us through the SCP framework.
Thanks, Robin. And again, welcome everybody. My name is Julia Toro. I am a senior environmental scientist here at the Safer Consumer Products Program. Today, we're really lucky to have folks from a wide range of backgrounds in attendance. So we want to first introduce our program, the Safer Consumer Products Program, or SCP, and share how our program operates so that everyone can have a baseline understanding of how we work. So to start, SCP is a program within the California Department of Toxic Substances Control, DTSC, which operates within the California Environmental Protection Agency, the Cal EPA. So I know we're only just getting started and we've already thrown several acronyms at you. We're going to be using acronyms throughout our presentation today, and I'm going to be going over a lot of information rather quickly. So if you ever need clarification on anything as we're presenting, please don't hesitate to ask your questions with the Q&A feature. Okay. So the mission of the Safer Consumer Products Program is to advance the design, development, and use of products that are chemically safer for people and the environment. How exactly do we do this? Well, SCP is a regulatory program, which means we can implement and enforce regulations. We regulate consumer products that are sold, offered for sale, distributed, supplied, or manufactured in or for use in California. One thing to note is that pesticides, pharmaceuticals, and food, while they are consumer products, do not fall within the jurisdiction of our program. The image on this slide shows the 4 steps that our process boils down to. I'm going to go over the basics of our framework for you all today, but you can learn even more information on our website, and Robbie's going to put the link to our program overview in the chat now for y'all. So it's in the first and second steps of our process that we determine what chemicals and products we can pursue for regulation in the first place. Our process begins with our candidate chemicals list, or the CC list. The CC list is a menu of chemicals that we can potentially regulate, and the chemicals on this list have all been identified by various authoritative bodies as having significant hazards or potential for exposure. These authoritative bodies include international research agencies, as well as federal and state programs, including the California Department of Public Health, Center for Disease Control, or even DTSC. We update the CC list quarterly, and you can always see the up-to-date CC list on our website using the link that Robbie shared in the chat. The CC list is integral to our process, as we can only pursue a chemical if it's on the list. If it's not on our CC list, we cannot pursue it. All right. Our next step is to identify priority products. We can only regulate product chemical combinations. Examples of a product chemical combination are paint and varnish strippers containing methylene chloride, or carpets and rugs containing PFASs. We cannot regulate just a chemical or just a product alone. It has to be a combination of the two. The product chemical combinations that we regulate are called priority products. And the 2 product chemical combinations that I just mentioned are both examples of priority products that SCP is currently regulating. So at this point, we're researching product chemical combinations and prioritizing those that may cause harm. We select priority products based on 2 key prioritization principles: that there are potential exposures to a candidate chemical in the product, and that one or more of those exposures have the potential to contribute to or cause significant or widespread adverse impacts. And the key here is really the word potential. That's all we really need to demonstrate. Alrighty, so once a priority product is listed, we require the responsible manufacturers and retailers to conduct research into what safer alternatives might exist for the chemical of concern that we identified in step 2. This step is called the alternatives analysis, and it's a very important and in-depth step, as this is how we prevent regrettable substitutions, which is a situation where harmful chemicals are replaced with something that's just as harmful or more harmful. We use the alternatives analysis report submitted to us by responsible entities to help guide our selection of the regulation or regulations that will best mitigate the adverse impacts posed by the priority product. Our regulatory responses can take several different forms, from banning a chemical ingredient in the product to requiring manufacturers to invest in scientific research that can help find safer alternatives, or even to enacting labeling requirements on certain product types. Throughout both the alternatives analysis and the regulatory response stages, we also carry out compliance and enforcement to ensure that responsible entities adhere to our regulations. For more details on our regulatory framework, you can check out our SCP regulations, and Robbie will put a link to those in the chat now. So today's workshop is part of our initial research and public engagement phase. In our initial research, we identified 2 candidate chemicals in consumer products that have the potential to cause harm to people or the environment. On November 15th, we released our background document sharing our preliminary research findings that brought us to this product chemical combination of propylparaben and butylparaben in skin-applied leave-on products. And this is what we'll be presenting to you today. Following this workshop and the subsequent close of the comment period on our background document on July 2nd, We may prioritize one or more product chemical combinations identified in our background document, at which point we would conduct further research and write a detailed document, which we refer to as our product chemical profile, where we describe our rationale for proposing a priority product. Okay, so hopefully what I just shared provided you with some insight into the process that we use here at SCP. I want to remind everyone that the project we're discussing today is at the very first step of our product chemical prioritization process. We have not yet proposed any priority products or proposed any regulations. With that, I want to thank you all again for attending today and for your engagement. We really look forward to hearing from you throughout this process. I'll now pass it over to Elena Galkina, who will be presenting an overview of our preliminary research findings.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Robin and Julia, for the introduction and overview of our program. My name is Elena Galkina. I'm an environmental scientist in the Market Research Unit, and I'm also one of the project's leads. Today, I'll give you an overview of the preliminary research on propylparaben and butylparaben in skin-applied leave-on products. And I will start with the introduction and explain what parabens are, describe the proposed product category definition and product examples within these categories, and I further describe what are their hazards and exposures. I'll also explain why we're talking here only about two parabens, propyl and butylparaben, and what alternatives to propyl and butylparaben exist. Finally, I will highlight the major data gaps and questions to the audience, and then we will wrap up with a Q&A session and comment period to provide opportunities for all interested and affected parties to get involved in our process. So, parabens have been widely used in synthetic antimicrobials and personal care products since the 1920s. And for the evaluation of parabens, as we regulate, can only approach product chemical combination. For the product part, we prioritize products that people use every day, sometimes throughout the entire life, skin-applied leave-on products. Our team evaluated all parabens on our candidate chemical list and concluded that propyl and butylparaben can affect reproductive systems of wildlife or humans. Additionally, our team looked into leave-on products with propyl and butylparaben that are available on popular online platforms and can be shipped to California zip code. And we found over 650 product lines currently available on the market. Finally, our team summarized information in the background document with a link to the document you can find in the chat. And based on the hazards of propyl and butylparaben and their extensive use in leave-on products, exposure to this product chemical combination has the potential to cause or contribute to significant or widespread adverse impact on California's people or the environment. Before we'll go further, let's look closer at paraben structure because this will be important for our understanding of parabens differences and adverse effects. So, all parabens are made of this parent chemical called para-hydrobenzoic acid. It's not that the audience needs to remember the name, just for illustration, and an alcohol. So this specific alcohol used for synthesis of a molecule determines the type of paraben produced. The alcohol and the reaction gives the molecule the side chain of carbons, and the length of this side chains influences the molecule properties and its toxicity. For parabens in general, the longer the chain or the more the red dots on the molecule, the more pronounced the effect of paraben on microbes and the greater the impact on other organisms that would be exposed to this chemical. As I said, parabens became widely used as antimicrobial because of their affordability and effectiveness against a broad range of microorganisms. It affects fungi, bacteria, and mold. Antimicrobials like parabens prevent primary contamination that may be introduced during manufacturing, and secondary contamination that introduced by users when we, for example, dip our fingers into a jar with cream. It also works across relatively broad range of pH levels, making parabens suitable for use in a variety of personal care products. Preservatives like parabens are very important in personal care products with a high risk of contamination, like products with high water content, like lotions, and in products where microbial contamination can lead to immediate and serious infection, like in eye products like mascara or lip products. Also, parabens are affordable. They're cheap and they're often used in everyday popular products found in dollar stores, for example. But we also found some products in luxury products that contain propyl and butylparaben, so they're really everywhere. So now we understand the chemical part of the product chemical combination. Let's talk about skin-applied leave-on products. What are those? Skin-applied leave-on products are personal care products that fall under category of beauty, personal care, and hygiene products of the Priority Product Work Plan for 2024-2026 cycle. You can find the link to this Priority Product Work Plan in the chat if you want to get familiar with the plan. Leave-on products are personal care products that we put on our skin, near eyes, lips, and scalp. These products stay on the skin and they don't need to be rinsed off right away. So makeup, lotions, face masks, all are good examples of leave-on products. We do not include products like nail polish or products that used only on hair, but we would include products used on scalp. So fairly simplified, we group the leave-on products into 7 categories, which I will be discussing in the next slide. So now let you guide me through all these product categories, and we'll start with moisturizers. That is a large category that includes products meant to moisturize the skin, primarily represented by creams or lotions. This can be applied on the face, hands, feet, the whole body. This category also includes creams and lotions intended for babies, diapers areas. And moisturizers like lotions have high water content, meaning they will be more susceptible to microbial contamination because water part is a favorable environment for bacterial growth. Some moisturizers may include also additional components for ultraviolet protection or anti-wrinkle agents, but really their main purpose is always to hydrate skin. And then there are face makeup, which is used for altering facial or body appearance by hiding blemishes or evening out skin tone. And these products include foundations, concealers, bronzers, etc. These categories mainly apply to face and neck area, but sometimes to other body parts. And also makeup is one of the booming type of products in today's beauty market, as well as eye cosmetics. That include mascara, eyeshadow, eye pencils, and eye creams. This category is used near sensitive areas around eyes that could easily get infected due to the lack of protecting barrier and warm and humid environment compared to skin. Lip care products include lipstick, balms, and other lip care products. This type of products are applied to lips where it can be consumed accidentally during use. Next category is sunscreens. They protect skin from sun damage and used by everyone, from infants to older adults throughout the year, sometimes multiple times per day. And this is a particularly important product in sunny places like California, where people spend more time outdoors. Finally, there are 2 categories of skin cleansers and wipes, and skin nourishment and modifier products. The last one is a category that includes all other leave-on products that we did not categorize, that do not belong to other categories I previously mentioned. An example of such products would be from toners and aftershave products to bronzers and scalp treatment. We asked the public to comment on the definition of skin-applied leave-on products and their product categories and provide the feedback. But why do we care about these chemicals at all? Remember, I showed you the structure of a paraben. So the side chain lengths affect paraben's ability to bind to estrogen receptors. Methyl and ethyl paraben have shorter chains compared to propyl and butylparaben. Parabens with side chain larger than of propyl and butylparaben are already banned in the European Union and are not commonly used in cosmetics because of their chemical properties and safety concerns. Finally, propyl and butylparaben have chains long enough to effectively kill bacteria, but also induce harm to human health and the environment. So butylparaben is an endocrine disruptor, and it can harm male reproductive systems in humans and may be linked to breast cancer tumors growth. We also found that propylparaben disrupts the endocrine system of fish and other vertebrates, affecting their reproduction. And it's also worth noting that both propyl and butylparaben can affect aquatic life, but butylparaben is used less often and in far smaller concentrations than propylparaben. And many studies show that compared to other parabens, butylparaben concentrations in the environment are almost negligible. So to develop any adverse impact, a chemical must reach an organism. And when it comes to butylparaben exposure of humans, the story is simple. We deliberately apply leave-on products directly to our skin, which leads to absorption through the skin. Some products can also be accidentally ingested, like lipstick, or inhaled, such as powders or eyeshadows made of small particles. A survey in the United States found that adults use about 12 personal care products each day on average, and some may use up to 30 products daily. People start using such products from a very young age and continuing through their life. By monitoring studies also have found butylparaben almost in half of urine samples in California, indicating widespread exposure. Besides that, people exposed to parabens from multiple sources, not just one product. Besides personal care products, butylparaben may be found in food and pharmaceuticals. And considering lengths of application and variety and quantity of products used, the aggregate exposure to butylparaben may lead to significant adverse impact. Everyone uses personal care products, of course, but exposure to parabens can vary based on usage patterns, which in turn are affected by age, gender, race, and socioeconomic status. For example, women of color may have different patterns of cosmetic use, influencing their exposure levels. And some studies show that women of color may use more personal care products than the Western beauty norm. Vulnerable populations, such as pregnant individuals, children, and older adults, are also important to consider when thinking about consequences of exposure to butylparaben and leave-on products, because these populations may be more susceptible to adverse effects than general populations. And so in this slide, we'll see how propylparaben moves through the environment and reaches environmental organisms, where it can cause toxic effects. When products with propylparaben are applied to skin, they can be washed off from the body or absorbed into clothes and then washed off during laundry cycles. The water carrying propylparaben goes to wastewater treatment plants, and due to the propylparaben physicochemical characteristics, it tends to stick to organic matter, but not all the time. So they can be released into surface waters, where aquatic organisms in turn might be exposed to them. They also stick to biosolids and sludge from wastewater treatment plants, and then they can be applied to land, affecting the microbial community. However, studies show that propylparaben is the concentrations of propylparaben is site-specific and urban-specific. It means that higher levels would be found in areas with more cosmetic manufacturing or larger urban populations. There are no data on concentrations of propylparaben in California's environment because it hasn't been measured before. So we would like to know if anyone in the audience has information about the presence of propylparaben in California surface waters or the surface waters of the United States. So I've been talking about propyl and butylparaben, but you might wonder, why don't we talk about methyl and ethylparaben? Why these two so special? As Julia explained previously, we can only look into chemicals that are on our candidate chemical list. There are 5 parabens on this list, and only 2 of them have been flagged by an authoritative agency for their hazard rate. So one of them is isobutylparaben, and it was already banned in California by Toxic Free Cosmetic Act in 2019. And starting January 2025, it shouldn't be in cosmetics anymore. For the rest, 4 parabens, we reviewed current scientific literature on evidence of hazard and found that methyl and ethylparaben have limited evidence of harmful effects. In turn, propyl and butylparaben have strong evidence of causing endocrine disruption in humans or aquatic organisms. The European Chemical Agency, one of the authoritative bodies, considers butylparaben a substance of very high concern because of its effects on human endocrine system. And this is the hazard rate. This is assigned to this chemical in our candidate chemical list. So this way, only propyl and butylparaben have enough evidence of harmful effects. So that's where we're focusing it at this time. Now, let's talk about the alternatives. As Robin stated in the opening remarks, there are plenty of available alternatives, as we can see from the trend of paraben-free products and the fact that many retailers pledges to remove parabens from their products. I wanted to highlight that we haven't evaluated the alternatives presented below, and we only discuss them here to illustrate the statement that alternatives to parabens are available. Some alternatives to research further would include alcohols and salts like benzyl alcohol, phenoxyethanol, and sodium benzoate. Organic acids such as benzoic acid, salicylic acid, and citric acid also are common alternatives. Methyl and ethylparaben have been used as well. Preservative-free options would include modifying packaging, sterile manufacturing processes, or reformulations of products to reduce bacterial growth by decreasing water content or adjusting pH. However, the engineering alternatives, they may not always be sufficient on their own, and they only can help with one type of contamination, primary or secondary. So when choosing alternatives, companies must consider factors like safety, cost effectiveness, effectiveness against various microorganisms, compatibility with a broad pH range and other ingredients, and also solubility in common ingredients and no reduction of product effectiveness. So we understand that it's not a simple process. I want to conclude the presentation with putting these main questions to the audience, and while we ask more questions in the background document on page 9, answers to these 4 questions will greatly impact our decision making. So the questions are the following. I will read them out loud for those who cannot join by a computer and join us by a phone. The first question is, what are the concentrations of parabens and various types of leave-on products? What we're asking here is if audience knows what would be the different concentrations between such products as mascara, lotions, sunscreens, eyeshadows, etc. The second question is propylparaben detected in aquatic environments in California or the United States? The third question is, can parabens occur as contaminants in leave-on products? If so, what concentration would indicate contamination? We're asking this question to understand if propylparaben can be a contaminant or non-intentionally added ingredient in a personal care product. And the last question, question number 4, how many leave-on product manufacturers are based in California? This we mean not just companies that have their headquarters here, but also manufacture their products in California. With this, I'll conclude the presentation and give floor back to Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elena. And thank you for changing the slide too. So again, we want to thank our audience for staying engaged during this presentation. The public comment period began on November 18th, 2024, and closes on January 2nd, 2025. If you'd like to submit a public comment, please use the QR code here on the screen to submit a comment via CalSafer, or you can submit your comment directly via email, saferconsumerproducts@dtsc.ca.gov. Slide 32, please. So this does conclude our presentation portion of the workshop. Once again, please check back at DTSC's Safer Consumer Products webpage at https://dtsc.ca.gov/SCP/safer-consumer-products-workshops-events to review a copy of the PowerPoint presentation and the recording of this workshop. We will now begin the Q&A portion of this workshop. As previously mentioned, if you would like to send us a question, please click on the Q&A button on the toolbar at the bottom of the screen. You may submit as many questions as you want. However, we do request that you submit one question at a time so that we are able to respond to them adequately. Now, as a reminder, we will not be taking questions by the chat feature. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand to let us know you have a question. You will then be called on, and when prompted to unmute yourself, you can press *6. So let's begin. Looks like we have a couple questions already. First question is, you mentioned that lotions and creams that are used on babies in the diaper area are in scope. Does this include FDA over-the-counter drug diaper rash creams?
Thanks, Ashley. I'll go ahead and take this question. I'm Christine Papagni, and I co-lead the research efforts in the Safer Consumer Products program. And today, just to remind you all, today we're just presenting our preliminary findings on this category of products. And we're still defining, and we will redefine the scope of the product. So we'd really like public feedback on whether to include additional products to what we covered today, including diaper rash cream.
Wonderful, thank you. Next question is, please confirm if antiperspirant/deodorants are in scope products.
Again, we would like to receive feedback from the public on whether or not we should include antiperspirants or deodorants within the scope of this product category.
Thank you, Christine. So go ahead and allow for more questions to populate. And also, just as a reminder, if you guys have questions that you think of after the workshop, please feel free to reach out to us via email. Once again, saferconsumerproducts@dtsc.ca.gov, which is in the chat box for you guys. Looks like we have another question. When reviewing the background documents, I do not see that expert decisions from the EU scientific committees, SCCS, on both parabens were not referenced. Is there a reason for this?
I could take that question. Hi, my name is Lynn Nakayama-Wong. I'm a staff toxicologist at SCP. We have taken into account and are aware of the EU Scientific Committee for Consumer Safety reports on parabens, the most current ones, and in the past. I think for the purposes for the background document, it is not the sole document in terms of identifying hazard traits or the parabens of concern at this time. But when we do move forward if we move forward for a chemical product combination, we would probably likely end up citing the SCCS reports. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Next question. Would it be possible to extend the comment deadline by 2 weeks until January 16, 2025? We would greatly appreciate the additional time given the many open comment periods at this time. Thank you so much.
Actually, I'll answer this one. Thanks for the question, Mary. I also received your email, and we are likely to say yes. So I just need to have a chat with with Robin about it, but I think it's going to be a yes. So hopefully that answers the question.
Thanks, Andre. Appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of open comment periods, and with the holidays, things can get a little crazy sometimes. Next question. But you are using EWG documents are reliable scientific data. Go ahead and turn on your camera if you'd like to answer this.
Hi, this is Christine Propagni. I'm not able to turn my camera on for some reason, but since that was a comment rather than a question, we request that you submit that during our comment period. Thanks.
Thank you, Christine. And you're welcome, Mary. Thank you so much. Next question. Why are leave-on hair products not included? Go ahead and turn on your camera if you'd like to answer this question.
I can answer this question. When we were prioritizing which products with parabens we could consider, we considered leave-on products, skin-applied, specifically skin-applied leave-on products, as they stay on a skin the longest. When we use hair products, in turn, we usually, it's considered mostly rinse-off products. They do not get into contact with skin, which means the exposure will be smaller. But we absolutely would consider comments and, again, refine our scope based on the submitted comments.
And I'd like to follow up a little bit on that as well, because we do know that there are some products that you leave in your hair, especially for 1 or more days. However, as Elena indicated, you don't leave them on your scalp necessarily. And we have been evaluating at least hair straightening products in a separate project, and we could and may evaluate other product types, hair product types specifically in the future.
Thank you for that. Next question. Oh, it's more of comment. African American hair products are not rinsed out. Many are not. Thank you so much for your comment, Jordan. We do appreciate that.
And we're also aware of that, Jordan, but I appreciate you bringing that up.
So we're going to go ahead and see if any more questions are going to filter into Q&A feature. Just give it some more moments. Once again, if you think of any questions after this workshop is over, we would still love to hear from you guys. So please continue to send in the questions at saferconsumerproducts@dtsc.ca.gov. If you think of any additional ones after this workshop is over. We still have some time, so ask your questions if you would like to have them answered right now. If you have something on your mind, we're here. We're an open floor to to answer anything you guys might have. Once again, just want to thank everyone for your participation and staying engaged. We appreciate your time. We actually have pretty good attendance today, especially with the holidays just being around the corner. At one point, I think we had like 70 something, like about 70, so it's a pretty good turnout. But just waiting for some more questions to come in, and if not, we will go ahead and move to the next portion of the agenda. There's no one on the phone, no questions. If you guys want to submit questions via raised hands too, feel free to raise your hand if you'd prefer to verbally ask your question instead of dropping it in the Q&A feature. That's also another option for you guys. Just give it a couple more seconds if you guys can think of anything. All right, so it looks like we may not have any more questions. So with that said, it looks like since we didn't have that many questions, we're gonna go ahead and skip the 10-minute break since it doesn't really seem necessary. What we can do is we can move straight into the public comment period portion. We're going to be getting your comments. So let's go ahead and move to the next slide. Appreciate you guys with your flexibility. Thank you. Once again, the public comment period is currently active, and the deadline to provide these public comments is 11:59 p.m. on January 2nd, 2025. So the process for the public comment period portion is very similar to that of the Q&A session. If you'd like to send us a comment, please click on the Q&A button at the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You may submit as many comments as you want. However, we do request that you submit one at a time just to allow us to compile them more efficiently. For those joining by phone, if we have anyone come on phone, we haven't yet, but if you are joining by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand to let us know you have a comment. You will then be called on, and when prompted to unmute yourself, please press *6. You can also submit your comments via CalSafer website using the provided QR code on the screen, or you could use the hyperlink that's going to be dropped into the chat box below. That's https://calsafer.dtsc.ca.gov/cms/comment package/?RID=12778, or you can easily email us your comments to saferconsumerproducts@dtsc.ca.gov. So we'll go ahead and wait to see if anyone would like to submit any comment. Numerous ways to submit comment. So we'd love to hear from you guys. We love the questions. We love the comments. We appreciate your time so much. Go ahead and give it a few more moments. And once again, if you guys think of any comments after this workshop, go ahead and send it to us one of those ways. Once again, if you guys would like a copy or recording of the recording of this workshop, please feel free to check back at our Safer Consumer Products webpage. for the recording and or the PowerPoint presentation? Yeah, it looks like we don't have any comments. So if we don't have any comments, we're going to go ahead and move along then. Next slide, please. So this does conclude our public comment period session. Again, just thank you so much for everyone staying engaged and participating in this workshop. I'm going to now hand it over to Andre for closing remarks. Andre?
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you to all of you for attending today and sharing your questions. I'm Andre Algazi. I am a manager in the Safer Consumer Products program. I lead our chemical and product evaluation branch. Before we close today's workshop, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Julia and Elena for their excellent presentations and our entire Leave On Products team for all their work writing the background document and preparing for today's workshop. And also thank you, Ashley, for your excellent facilitation, and Robin Christensen for your leadership and support of our program. Speaking of the background document, if you haven't already, I encourage you to read it. It's posted on our website, and you can find it on the CalSafer portal, where you can also submit comments. Our team has done a great job synthesizing its work on parabens, their use in leave-on products, potential exposures, potential adverse impacts, and our preliminary findings. And it also includes the questions we were hoping you can help answer to inform our decisions about possible future priority products. As mentioned earlier, our comment period is open until Thursday, January 2nd, and we are entertaining and will likely extend the comment period until this, I think, the 16th, 2 more weeks. So you have at least 2 and likely more time, at least 2 weeks and likely more to submit your comments. As a reminder, you can submit written comments through our CalSafer portal. And as Robin and others have mentioned, public engagement and comments are really key to our process. We read and consider all of them, and they ensure that we get our regulations right. So thanks again for your engagement and for participating in our workshop today. And with that, I think we're done. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I guess I'll hand it back to Ashley.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to our panelists and our audience. We sincerely appreciate you staying engaged and participating during this workshop. So thank you once again. As a reminder, feel free to check back at that website if you'd like to obtain a copy of the recording of this workshop, or if you'd like to access the PowerPoint presentation. And thank you all. Have a wonderful day and happy holidays.